Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a special edition here of Hilaal Live. My name is Faraz Patel. For this Hilaal Live, we are coming to you from the 5th Global Conference of Solidarity for Palestine here at the Kurtuba Center in Sandton, Johannesburg. During the show, I'm going to be having 4 different interviews. One of them, of course, starting will be that of Chief Mandla, who has been one of the main organizers of this event. Do stay tuned as we will bring you these interviews on Hilaal Live.
Well, for us, this is an important gathering, particularly in honor of our global icon and hero of our struggle for liberation, His Excellency President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. I've often said that when we commemorate and celebrate Madiba's legacy, we must always champion the causes that he stood for. And for us as the family and the Royal House of Mandela, it has been a real honor to partner with the global campaign to return to Palestine. A Palestinian NGO based in Lebanon, where we are hosting the 5th global convention in solidarity with Palestine. And we have invited Palestinians in the diaspora from over 72 countries, from Latin America to America, Europe to the Middle East, Asia and Africa, to come and participate in understanding the current climate that Palestinians find themselves in Gaza and all over occupied Palestine. So this morning we have had many testimonies from Palestinians themselves, sharing their experiences and the atrocities that are being meted out on a daily basis against them. And we have also had an opportunity from South Africans sharing their experiences during our own struggle for liberation against one of the most brutal militant apartheid regimes on the African continent. And we hope that through this dialogue, we can be able to share experiences that can effectively be able to advance the Palestinian struggle so that they too can be able to collapse the Zionist apartheid state of Israel, just as we were able to collapse the apartheid state of South Africa. We must contextualize what that motion and how it came about, because activists on the ground here in South Africa have been crisscrossing the entirety and the landscape of our country, mobilizing society within their own families, in their streets, in their villages and towns, in our cities, ensuring that we are able to mobilize support for the Palestinian struggle. And therefore, they've effectively been able to mobilize NGOs and CBOs. They've also been able to mobilize religious and faith-based organizations. Hence, you've seen the likes of the Muslim Judiciary Council coming in support, Al-Quds Foundation coming in support, as well as with Archbishop Thabo Makgoba of the Anglican Church, also saying that the Anglican Church is giving their full support behind the Palestinian struggle. You've also witnessed with unions and worker formations coming out leading protests in major cities around South Africa. And therefore, this went even to political parties, as you have seen them rallying behind the Palestinian struggle, mobilizing their own protests in the streets. We've seen the ANC march to the Israeli embassy offices. But you've also seen EFF also arranging its own protests, and this is the work of the collective and activists on the ground, which culminated in a motion sponsored by the EFF in Parliament in calling for South Africa to cut all ties with the apartheid state of Israel and ensure that we were able to expel the Israeli ambassador to South Africa. And this must be applauded, and we must ensure that we don't stop there, because as you've seen, there's a handful of parties, being the EFF, ANC, NFP, NFP, Al-Jama, and PAC that supported the motion. And we need to ensure that this just doesn't remain as a motion in Parliament, but finds itself to our government. It must find itself to the presidency, and it must be implemented. We have seen many flaws in our government that we need to continuously, as activists, to raise, so that our government acts on the wishes of the people. If this is truly a government of the people, then it should adhere to the call of the people. As I've said, we are calling for South Africa to cut all ties with apartheid Israel, and we have heard the spokesperson of the president saying that they are not considering cutting ties with apartheid Israel. We, the people, want that. We, the people, are calling for the apartheid state of Israel ambassador to be expelled from South Africa, just as the anti-apartheid campaign globally and the international solidarity movement internationally stood side by side with us. And we will not rest as activists on the grounds calling for our government to act. There is South Africans serving in the IDF, and therefore we're calling on the Minister of Defense to implement the Foreign Military Assistance Act and hold those South Africans accountable. We've sent 49 names to them to look into. But we've also called on the Minister of Basic Education, as we are well aware that a school in Cape Town, Helsia, has publicly announced that 20% of their graduates go and serve in the IDF. And we are calling on the Minister of Basic Education, Minister Angie Motshekga, to take action towards that school. Last but not least is with the Minister of Transport, that is affording the National Air Carrier of Israel, that being LR, flight operating permits into South Africa, and they fly into South Africa every week. We want those FOPs revoked, and we do not want to see the Israeli carrier on our shores. So we are already with solidarity groups beginning to look at, here in South Africa, how do we create a national structure where all solidarity groups can come under that umbrella and can be able to coordinate their efforts. But as you've seen, last weekend I was in Botswana meeting with solidarity groups in Botswana, where the work is still at its infancy and they're still trying to find themselves. And we are saying they should also coordinate their efforts and create a national structure. We want to see all the SADC countries come together and create a regional structure in support of the Palestinian struggle. As you have seen in the last with Western Sahara, the SADC region was able to hold a conference in solidarity with the people of Western Sahara. We would like to also see the SADC region hosting a solidarity conference with the Palestinian people. But also we need to focus on a continental structure that we will be able to mobilize right throughout our continent, utilizing the Pan-African Parliament, which we host here in South Africa in Midrand. We want to ensure that every delegate that is coming from the 55 states in Africa is able to carry the message back to their countries. But we will not rest on just the African continent. We have our eyes set for mobilizing the entire global community in support of the Palestinian struggle.